Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the monthly employment data release media call. My name is Kristen Gerke, and I serve as press secretary for FloridaCommerce. Joining me here is Jimmy Heckman, Bureau Chief for Workforce Statistics and Economic Research. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will be taking questions from credentialed media. To ask a question, please submit it through the Teams chat feature, since we will not be able to accept questions through a private chat. We will address as many questions as possible, but if your question is not covered, please email media@commerce.fl.gov. Our teams will work to get you an answer. Today's presentation is focused on employment data for May 2025. If you have questions regarding other Florida Commerce topics, also use the media@commerce.fl.gov to connect with our communications and external affairs team. I will now turn it over to Jimmy.
Thank you, Kristen, and good morning, everybody. Today, at 10 o'clock this morning, the Florida Commerce released May 2025 labor statistics for the state of Florida, as well as sub-state areas, including all metropolitan areas, counties, and large cities. These data were again produced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics through a federal state cooperative agreement with FloridaCommerce. And these data were collected through a combination of employer and household surveys, administrative records, and statistical modeling techniques. Florida's unemployment rate and labor force estimates are published under the Local Area Unemployment Statistics Program, using information collected by the Current Population Survey. These statistics are based on a survey of households that capture information about individuals as opposed to jobs, and they're calculated by place of residence as opposed to place of work. Florida's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in May 2025 was 3.7%, unchanged from the previous month and up 0.4 of a percentage point from May of last year. The national unemployment rate was 4.2%, unchanged from the previous month, and Florida's unemployment rate is 0.5 of a percentage point lower than the national rate and has now remained lower for 55 consecutive months since November of 2020. In May 2025, Monroe County had the state's lowest unemployment rate at 2.4%, followed by Miami-Dade County at 2.7%, and McCulloch County at 3.0%. Taylor County had the highest unemployment rate at 6.2%, followed by Sumter County at 6%, and Citrus County at 5.2%. The statewide unemployment rate of 3.7% in May 2025 consisted of 14,000 jobless individuals out of a labor force of 11,200,000. Florida's total employment of 10,787,000, or the total number of people with jobs in the state, decreased by 6,000, or 0.1% from the prior month, while unemployment increased by 4,000, or 1% from the prior month. Florida's labor force of 11,200,000, which is composed of all currently employed workers, as well as unemployed job seekers who are actively looking for work, decreased by 4,000, or less than 0.1 of a percentage point from the prior month. In this graphic here, we see the over-the-year percent change in the labor force in Florida, shown in blue, compared to the United States, shown in green. As of May 2025, Florida's labor force has increased by 0.4 of a percentage point over the year. The national labor force grew at a rate of 1.6% over the same time period. Job creation data for Florida is derived from the Current Employment Statistics, or CES survey, conducted by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CES survey collects data from over 40,000 Florida businesses and establishments each month to measure jobs by industry across the state. Since these statistics are based on a survey of employers, they measure counts of jobs as opposed to individuals. They capture characteristics of employers, such as industry and place of work. Total non-agricultural employment in Florida rose to 10,086,700 jobs in May 2025, up 20,500 jobs, or 0.2 of a percentage point from the prior month. This figure is up 148,700 jobs from 1 year ago, which is an over-the-year increase of 1.5%. Private sector component of employment was 8,918,800 jobs in May 2025, up 22,900 jobs, or 0.3% from the prior month. Total private employment was up 134,500 jobs from May of 2024, an over-the-year increase of 1.5%. This is faster than the national private sector job growth rate of 1.1% over the same time period, and Florida's over-the-year private sector job growth rate has exceeded the nation's for 49 of the last 50 months since April of 2021. 6 of the 10 industry supersectors in Florida gained jobs over the month. Professional and business services gained the most jobs, increasing by 7,100 or 0.4%, followed by trade, transportation, and utilities, increasing by 4,800 jobs or 0.2%, and education and health services, increasing by 4,600 jobs or 0.3%. 4 out of the 10 industry supersectors in Florida lost jobs over the month. Total government lost the most jobs, declining by 2,400, followed by construction declining by 400, and other services declining by 300 jobs. Professional and business services gained 7,100 jobs in May of 2025. The subsector contributing the most to this gain was the professional, scientific, and technical services subsector, up 6,100 jobs in May of 2025. Federal government lost 1,000 jobs in May of 2025, and this is the 4th consecutive month of job losses in the federal government sector in the state. In this graphic, we see that over the year change in employment by industry supersector between May 2024 and May 2025, and Florida shown in blue compared to the United States shown in green. Fastest growing Florida industries over the past year were education and health services, growing by 3.2%, followed by the other services sector at 2.7% and information at 1.7%. The 6 major sectors that were outpaced, or six of the major sectors outpaced national trends over the past 12 months. The top 3 sectors where Florida outperformed national growth the most were information, manufacturing, and other services. The map shown here shows seasonally adjusted over the month job growth by local metro area in May of 2025. 18 of Florida's 25 metro areas showed over the month job gains. The Sebring metro area grew at a rate of 0.7%, the fastest job growth among all Florida metro areas, followed by the Wildwood Villages and Lakeland Winter Haven metro areas, each growing at a rate of 0.5 percentage points, followed by the St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Largo metro area, growing at a rate of 0.4 percentage point. The metro areas that added the most jobs in May were the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford metro area, gaining 3,800 jobs, followed by the Tampa metro area, adding 3,400 jobs, and the Miami Beach, Kendall metro area, adding 3,000 jobs. The only Florida metro area that lost jobs in May was the Tallahassee metro area, losing 1,600 jobs. 6 Florida metro areas did not gain or lose any jobs over the month. These include the Crestview, Fort Walton Beach, Destin, Homestead Springs, Naples, Marco Island area, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Panama City Beach, and Sebastian Vero Beach metro areas. And here on this slide, we see the most recent job openings and labor turnover survey data for Florida. Please note that this slide reflects information for April 2025, which is the latest data available. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that the number of job openings shown here in blue decreased to 386,000 in April 2025, an over-the-month decrease of 11,000 or 2.8%, and down 24% from the year before. There were 241,000 quits shown here in gray in April 2025, an over-the-month increase of 6,000 or 2.6%, and down 16.9% from 1 year ago. And finally, there were 381,000 hires shown here in green in April 2025, an over-the-month increase of 32,000 or 9.2%, down 5.7% from 1 year ago. This concludes the presentation. I'll be happy to field questions from credentialed media.
Okay, we have one question from Forrest Saunders. How is the state's economy looking at any spots of concern as the nation enters an uncertain economic future?
Good morning, Forrest, and thanks for your question today. This is a great question. At this point, we don't really see many signs of concern with Florida's economy, right? We're seeing a 3.7% unemployment rate that didn't change this month. That is very low unemployment rate by historical standards, meaning that most people that are looking for work can find employment. The job growth numbers this month, adding 22,000 plus private sector jobs, indicates that that employers are really, they're ready to hire. We saw a big increase in hires this month from the JOLTS job openings data that we shared at the end of the presentation. So we're really seeing, we're continuing to see, at least in Florida, an environment where there's a lot of demand for workers. Businesses are having a lot of reason to hire or expand, and that the labor force that's looking for work is able to find work relatively easily. So we're not really seeing any signs of concern this time.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Again, thank you so much for joining us today for the May 2025 rate release. If you have any additional questions, please email media@commerce.fl.gov. We look forward to having you for our next rate release for June 2025 on Friday, July 18th, 2025. Thank you. Have a good weekend.